Hare Krishna. It's a great honor for us today to be here on behalf of the GBC SPT to take you on virtual Prikrama of Barsana. In Braj, there are three very important hills. One is Govardhan, which is incarnation of Vishnu. Other is Nandagram, which is incarnation of Lord Shiva, Nandishvar Parvat. And third hill is Barsana, incarnation of Lord Brahma. So we call it Brahma Parvat. And we're going to take you all around the hill. Because most people just go to Barsana, go up to the temple and come down. But there's a beautiful Prikrama all around Barsana. And we'd like to say something. This is Radharani's living place. Morning place is across the river in Raval. And those of you who know Hindi knows that Barsana means to rain. But if you add an extra syllable, Barsana, it means to cause it to rain. Just like sometimes there's clouds in the sky, but no rain is coming. Because there's something to cause the rain to fall. Just like the trees are very important. They produce a gas that goes up, reacts with the clouds, and causes rain to fall. We always thought that there's no rain in the desert because there's no water for the trees to drink. But Prabhupada explained to us, because there's no trees, there's no rain. So we need something to cause Krishna's mercy to fall on us. That is Srimati Radharani. She's the Barsani Wali, the one who lets Krishna's rain of mercy fall on us. So we're going to go all around her wonderful dham. And first we'll start with a very wonderful song by Srila Rupa Goswami all about Srimati Radharani. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harini Skuta Vrinda Vipineshe. Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harini Skuta Vrinda Vipineshe. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Dursabanudari Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Brisabanudari Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Karanam Karumai Karunabharite Sanaka Sanatana Barnita Charite Karunam Karumai Karuna Barite Sanaka Sanatana Barnita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Srimati Radharani ki jai. Her most dear devotee Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is a very wonderful song by Srila Rupa Goswami. He says, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Dayate means beloved. All glories to Radharani, the beloved of Madhav. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Taruni means young girl. All the young girls of Gokul, even they're bewildered by seeing the beauty of Srimati Radharani. Even girls are bewildered by her beauty. So somebody may ask Rupa Goswami, he's a big scholar, he knows so many languages, he knows Bengali, he knows Sanskrit, he knows Persian, so many languages, he's a big scholar. Why is he writing a song about a young girl? But this is not an ordinary girl. The last sign says Sanaka Sanatan. Sanaka and Sanatan represent the 4 Kumaras. And we all know they have been brahmacharis since the beginning of the universe. Charita Barnite. Even they are glorifying the character of Srimati Radharani. Because she's not an ordinary girl. She's none other than Krishna's own Ladini Shakti. So we'll start from this very beautiful path. We see there's one mountain on one side, on the right side, with a big temple on top. And left side, there's another mountain. And in between, there's a little winding path with so many dungar trees bowing down on both sides. And now it's rainy season. Barsani is a wonderland in the rainy season. Even by these material eyes, you can see that it's not an ordinary place. In fact, if we go down this beautiful path, winding path, I don't know if we'll ever come back. So if you want to turn off the video now, this is your last chance. Otherwise, I don't know if we'll ever come back. You ready to go? So these 2 hills come together in a very narrow pass. We call in Brijbhasa, Sankari Kor. And this mountain on the left side, that is actually incarnation of Krishna, because he can't live very far from Radharani. And we just heard the mountain on the other side is incarnation of Lord Brahma. Now you may remember from the Brahma Vimohan Leela, the Lord Brahma's complexion is golden, because he fell down just like a golden rod. So you see all the rocks on this side, they're yellowish in color, golden. And all the rocks on the other side, Krishna's side, they're all blackish. And in between, it makes a very narrow pass. On the other side of that pass is a village called Chiksoli. Chiksoli. It is famous for butter, milk, yogurt, ghee, All these nice things. So every day, Radharani and her Sakhis, they go through this pass to Chiksoli to collect all of these things. Then they come back through this narrow pass. And Krishna knows that Radharani and the Sakhis have gone there. So he was herding his cows nearby. So he's waiting for them to block the path with his cowherd stick. And Radharani is coming down the path with this pot of yogurt on her head. Sometimes we sing a song, and one of the lines in that song is Hansa Gamani. Gamani means manner of walking. And Hans, of course, means swan. I don't know if you've ever seen a swan walk, but they walk like this. So Radharani is walking just like a swan. And her ankle bells are tinkling. Raghunath Das Goswami describes that tinkling of Radharani's ankle bells is just like a spray, not a spray, a mist of tiny, tiny nectar droplets being sprinkled on all beings moving or non-moving. Ching, 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 ching. And she tells Krishna to please let them pass. And Krishna says, you girls, you're making a big profit by selling all this buttermilk and yogurt. You don't give any tax to your king. And Radharani says, well, here, my father, Vrishabhanu, he's the king. We don't have to give tax to anyone. So then Lalita Sakhi becomes the advocate for Radharani, and Madhumangal becomes the advocate for Krishna. And Madhumangal says, look, Vrishabhanu may be the king here, but the king of whole of Braj is Nanda Baba, so you have to give tax. And Lalita Sakhi says, Are, just see the impudence. How puffed up. You guys were living there in Gokul with your little friend here. And he created so much trouble stealing butter, milk, and yogurt. Everyone went to King Kamsa to complain. He came there with 100 cavalry soldiers. You fled away from that place, crossed over the Jamuna, came to this side, and Vrishabhanu, out of the kindness of his heart, he gave you a tiny corner of his kingdom to stay. Now you're claiming to be the kings of the whole place. Just see. Madhumangal says, wait a minute. Where did you get this story? We never heard this story before. We're going to the GBC. Nanda Baba is the king of whole of Braj. And you have to give tax. And if you make any more arguments, for every argument you make, we'll double the tax. Well, what about you guys? You're going everywhere with your cows. We should tax you for all the grass they eat. All right, now we're going to double the tax. Not only that, you girls are going everywhere, picking all these flowers. We're going to tax you for that. In this way, the advocates are making the arguments back and forth and back and forth. Rani's got this big pot of yogurt on her head. She's getting tired. So she gives Nandanandan a little push to knock him out of the way. And now they're just, you understand, they're just little children. So Nandananda, he becomes furious. You know what happens when a little boy gets angry? It's like an atomic bomb has gone off in the heart. And Krishna, he just grabs the mouth of that pot and pulls it down. And Radharani, she grabs the other side of the mouth of that pot. Now, we just described what happens when little boys get angry. We're afraid to describe what happens when little girls get angry. She's crossing her eyebrows, shooting dots at Nandanandan, and they're pushing, and pushing this way and pushing that way. And all the Sakhis get behind Radharani and all the Sakhis get behind Krishna and they're pushing and pushing. They're pulling on the sikas of the cowboys. Cowboys are pulling on the skirts of the gopis. Like this, they're going up and down and up and down. Then Radharani shrieks and all the Sakhis begin to push and push. And Krishna sees they're going to break through. And there's a stone there. So he takes that pot of yogurt and pow, he smashes it on the stone. Now this happened 5,000 years ago. But you know, yogurt's a little greasy. Those who've been on Prikam with me, you've seen there's still a grease mark of yogurt on that stone. Still a grease mark of yogurt on that stone. So now we're going to go through that pass. Now just walking through this pass one by one is hard enough. We can't imagine having a push of war through this pass. Then we get to the other side, there's a platform, covered platform. Now, in the old days, it wasn't covered. But now it's covered. And on the Trayadasi day, after Radhastami, the 8th day, Astami, then there's Leelas in different parts of Braj. They reenact these Leelas in different parts of Braj. On the Trayadasi day, they reenact this Leela in Barsana. First of all, in Nandagaon, in all the sweet shops, there's only jalebis, no other sweet. Then all the Nandagaon Basis come over here. And you can't imagine, this looks like a completely desolate place, but that day, not one square inch on either hill is available. Completely packed up with people to watch this. And Dan Bihari's there with his Leela group, all these boys dressed up like Radha Krishna and the Sakhis. And he's singing songs, old Brishbasi songs about this Leela. And the little Sakhis come and they punch him. Then he chases them with his stick, silver stick, like this. Then all the residents of Chiksoli rip up tree branches and grass and tree branches, and they take all Radha and Krishna on their shoulders, and they come with a big pot of yogurt, and they come through the pass, and they smash that yogurt on the rock. And it's a big fun. Everyone jumps over everyone to get some of that Mahaprasad. And then there's a secret path up to the temple, up the side of the hill up to the temple, where there's a beautiful flower bungalow, flower palace. So now we come to Chiksoli. And we usually have a nice kirtan to enliven all of the Chiksoli balas. And about halfway through the village, there's one lady. She's the mother of my very dear friend, Nandanlal Sharma. She will never let me pass unless I to get some Braj roti. Not made with this, but made like this. So after we take our roti and distribute to everyone, then we continue on through the pass, and we come out to a little clearing. And on the right side, we look up, we see a little shrine with some special decoration. This is called Morkutir. Now you know the meaning of more, right? When you want extra prasad. No, more means peacock. And if you look closely, you'll see little cement peacocks decorating the roof of this little building up there. So we go all the way up the stairs and see this place. So one day, Nandan looked up and he saw the gopis were watching something on top of this hill at that place. So he climbed the hill and he saw that Radharani and the Sakhis were watching the dancing of the peacock. So then Krishna, he began to dance like peacock, and peacock was dancing and Krishna was dancing, peacock was dancing, Krishna was dancing. Then he came before Srimati Radhika. He said, "You dance very nicely, but this peacock dances nicer than you." Then again, Krishna began to dance like Peacock, and Peacock was dancing, and Krishna was dancing, and Peacock was dancing. Then he again came before Brisbanu Nandini, and she said, that was much better. But this Peacock dances nicer than you. Then Radharani became Morni. If Mor is Peacock, then Morni means peahen. And Radha and Krishna began to dance as Mor and Morni, Peacock and peahen. And up there, we see this beautiful painting. Very difficult to get pictures. Sometimes we've gotten some pictures. A very beautiful painting of Radha and Krishna dancing as Mor and Morni. And from the windows, you can look all around and see the whole Brajadam, especially now this rainy season. Everything is green and clean. It looks so beautiful. It's not an ordinary place. This Brajadam is not different from the Golok Dham. Don't think somehow or other you took a flight to Delhi, and then from Delhi you took a taxi and you came to Barsana. No. We're only here by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It's not an ordinary place. Every human being, every bird, every bee, every insect, everything has something to do in Krishna's Leela. Then people always ask, somebody always asks, what about cobras? What about snakes? Just like sometimes in the Goshala, black snake comes out. So one time, Krishna got too fresh with Radharani, and she fled away. And Krishna was running behind her, but she was flying down the path. And on that path was coming a big black cobra. And he saw this little girl was going to come and trample on me. He stood up and went, shh, like that. And Radharani went screaming back into the arms of Krishna. So even black snake has some part in Krishna's Leela. It's such a wonderful place. Then we come back down the hill. And on the right side, there's a little lake. This is called Krishna Kund. Krishna made this kund with his flute. Very handy flute for calling gopis, for calling cows, for calling cowherd boys, for digging kunds. On the other side of the river in Mandir, he dug a well. Very practical flute. And overshadowing this little kund, we see so many huge peepal trees. Actually, when Krishna saw a peepal tree, he told his mother Yasoda, oh Maya, what is this tree which leaf has got a tail? What is this tree which leaf has got a tail? Ye khaan ki peir hai jiske pate ki poonch hai. If you look at a peepal tree, just like in front of Prabhupada's Samadhi, it's shaped like a heart, and then comes down to a little poonch, tail. And Mother Yasoda said, Lala, this is peepal tree. And beehives, so many beehives hanging down from the branch of this peepal tree. Very beautiful place. And way on the side is the asan of Madhumanga. Because we just heard how Chiksoli is famous for all types of milk products like butter, milk, and yogurt. So one time Krishna and his friends, they came there looking for a house where no gopi was at home. No gopi was at home. So they spotted one house, they peeked through the window, no one was home. So they went to the front door and came in and started having a wonderful time, drinking all the yogurt and milk and eating all the butter. They're having a wonderful time. Because in the village, nobody locks their door. I've been to villages still today where nobody locks their door. Just the opposite is New York City. Everybody wants to go live in New York, the Big Apple. But first of all, you can't even get into the building. You find out your friend's name, and there's a little button next to the number of his apartment, and you push that button. Then a little voice comes, who's there? And then you identify yourself. Then all of a sudden you hear this ugly sound. As long as the sound is going, you can open the door. And then you go way up in the elevator, and you get to his floor, and you finally get to his door, and you ring the doorbell, and there's a little glass. It suddenly gets dark. You say, look, who's outside? Then you hear 5 or 6 locks they have to unlock to let you in. They're in so fear. But in the village, nobody bothers to lock, so they all came in and had a wonderful time. Now that Gopi came home, she heard something from the window of her house. And she peeked inside, and she saw what was going on. So she went around to the front door. Now, you've seen in India, we don't have one door. We always have 2 doors like this. And there's a bolt on the outside, and there's a bolt on the inside. So she put the bolt on the outside. Means whoever's inside, now he can't get outside. And she ran to call all the other gopis. Meanwhile, Krishna, he also heard this sound. He knows the meaning. He looked around the room, out the window. So all the cowherd boys ran and jumped up and bang, bing, bing, bing. They all jumped out the window, except for Madhumangal. First of all, Madhumangal's lame. He couldn't run like all the other cowherd boys. He couldn't climb like all the other cowherd boys. And second thing is Madhumangal. He may be one of Krishna's friends, but he's not a Gopa. He's a Brahmin. And in Braj, our Brahmins don't tend to be very skinny fellows. So somehow he got up to the window. He tried to go through it. He got stuck. Meanwhile, the gopis came home. They opened the door. They came inside. Ha, we got you. They saw no one's here. Only this fat friend of Krishna stuck in the window. So they pulled him out of the window. Boop. They tied his hands with flower garlands, and they tied a string around his sika. And they threw it over the branch of a tree and said, now we got a hostage. When you have a hostage, then you have some demand. So they said, now you call your friend Krishna here. And they pulled on that string, and Madhumangal's sika went way up in the sky. Oh, Kanaya! Oh, Krishna! Oh, Kana! So, Krishna, he heard Madhumangal crying. So he came running to the spot and he saw the whole scene. Are, he became very angry. Don't you know? He may be one of my sakhas, one of my friends, but he's not a gopi, he's a Brahmin. Now you've done Brahman aparad. Now all your health and wealth and beauty will all be finished. And what do little girls worry about? Health, wealth, and beauty. So they all became very frightened. Oh, Shamsundar, what can we do? How can we get free from this aparad? So he thought for a minute. He said, you make a nice asan for Madhumangal, and you sit him down. Then you go to your houses and find out as many laddus as you have in your house, and you bring them all and feed them to Madhumangal. He will forget all about that aparad. He will give you ashirvad. So they untied Madhumangal, sat him down on the asam. They went to the houses. They fed him so many laddus. He became very happy. He gave them all ashirvad. And he forgot completely about the aparad. What Ashirvad he gave, blessing? Whatever was there, Manukamana. Manukamana means dearmost desire in the heart. And what is the dearmost desire in all the gopis' heart? That somehow Krishna be pleased with them. And that is Krishna consciousness in a nutshell. Everything we're doing is so Krishna will become pleased with us. We chant 16 rounds, we follow 4 regular principles, we associate with devotees, we go to the temple. Also, Krishna will become pleased with us. We go to Mangalarti, at least on Janmashtami and Gaur Purnima. Also, Krishna will become pleased with us. Simple. We make it complicated, but Krishna consciousness is very simple. Whatever you're doing, you just think, am I doing this for the pleasure of Krishna? Or am I doing this for the pleasure of my senses? If you think like that, you'll always be Krishna conscious. So, then we come back down. Or actually we go up to the right, to the left side. We go a little path. And we enter into a very beautiful kunj. And we come around. And there's a big archway and big long stairway upstairs. And we go up that long stairway, we come to Man Mandir. Man with a long A means anger. Not just anger, but you take anger and you take pride and you take coquettishness and cleverness and crocodile tears and you mix it all together like artists, you get Man. So when Radharani is upset with Krishna, she does Man. So one time on top of that hill, Radha and Krishna were there, full moon night, and Krishna was describing the beauty of Srimati Radhika. And he said her complexion was just as beautiful as the full moon. And Radharani became furious. Why she became furious? Because Krishna was comparing her with something so imperfect like the moon. It's got so many spots. So many spots. Actually, moon has 5 faults. Panch dos. First, like we said, Kalank, he's spotted. Kai, he shrinks. Banki, he's crooked, like Banki Bihari. Then he's Nisachar. Nisachar means whose nature is to come out at night. So who comes out at night? Rakshasas. And when does the moon come? At night, like a Rakshas. Nisachar. And 5th fault is he's Vishya Bandhu. Now all my godbrothers and other devotees, sometimes they name their children Viswanath, Visvajivan, Vishvambar, so many beautiful names. But what do their friends call them? Vish. You know Vish? Vish means poison. I'm always so embarrassed on Prikama. Somebody says, hey, Vish! You know, all the Brishbazis turn around. What was that? People sometimes ask me what to name their children. I said, don't worry about what to name them. Worry about what their friends will call them. So Vish means poison. Bandhu, just like Deena Bandhu. Bandhu can also mean relative. He's a relative of the poison. Because when they churned the ocean of milk, first thing that came was poison. The Uches Rava and Airavata and so many things, Lakshmi and so many things came. And moon also came. So he's born from the same place as poison, Vishabandhu. And on top of all of that, what do we call the moon in Sanskrit? Chandra. Sounds too much like one of Radharani's competitors. Don't say that name. So for all these reasons, Radharani became furious. And she ran away and hid. And hearing her lamentation, even the rocks began to melt. Even the rocks began to flow and melt. After some time, Radharani came back, but dressed up just like Krishna. And Krishna said, "Hey, who are you?" And Radharani said, "I'm Krishna. Who are you?" Krishna said, "You're not Krishna. I'm Krishna. Who are you?" Radharani said, "I'm the real Krishna. Who are you?" And Krishna, "I'm the real Krishna. Who are you?" "No, you're the counterfeit Krishna, Nakli." No, you're the Nakli one. Who are you? Then Radharani said, "If you are Krishna, then where is your Srimati Radhika? Where is your Srimati Radhika?" He said, "I'll play my flute, she'll come, you'll see." And he played on his flute. No Radharani came. Again, he played on his flute. No Radharani came. Third time, he played such an enchanting melody on his flute, Radharani can no longer maintain her disguise. When Krishna opened his eyes, he saw Radharani standing right in front of me. And he grabbed Radharani's hand, and he ran off to Unchagaon, the village of Lalita, to see if Lalita can tell who is Radha and who is Krishna. Sri Radha Krishna Ki Jai. Then we come back down those big long stairs and we enter the forest on the backside of Barsana. That forest is called Gibran. The forest is called Gibran. And now in this rainy season, beautiful place. Even with your material eyes, you can see it's not part of this material world. And we go through this path underneath the do trees. Special trees grow on Barsana. We call do. You'll never find them in the valley where there's water. You only find them up on the hill where the water runs down. So it's very dry up there. But that's where they grow. On top of Govardhan, on top of Barsana, you see these beautiful trees. And now that it's rainy season, they have beautiful emerald drop leaves. And after a while, little yellow topaz flowers will come. Then after the flowers comes little ruby fruits, red ruby fruits. Not ordinary trees. And if you come at Gaur Purnima time, then there's no leaves. But the sun is very bright and the bark is very light. It looks like a whole forest of silver filigree trees. Very mystical forest. And the rocks are very special here. Ordinary rocks go clack, 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 clack. But here, if you're in the right mood and you find the right rocks, ching, 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 just like little ankylos, ching, ching. Very mystical forest. So we wander through this Gibran forest. And finally we come to a little temple called Dan Bihari, a place called Dangar. What happened was in Unchagaon, there was a very, 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 very poor Brahmin like me. And just like me, he had a very, 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 very beautiful daughter who was of marriageable age. Now, unless you're from India, you can't understand the meaning of this. Because in India, not only do you raise your daughter and feed your daughter and clothe your daughter and educate your daughter and train her how to serve her husband for the rest of her life, but when you want to get her married, you have to give money also. But this is the way that the Vedas even out everything. Because according to the Vedas, only the sons will inherit the property of the father. So the girls, they get their inheritance at the time of their wedding. The boys have to wait for the old guy to kick off. They get their inheritance at their wedding time. Very scientific process, because just after getting married, we need a house, children will come. We need so many expenses with that. Very scientific process. But if you're very, very, very poor and you have a very, very beautiful daughter, this is a big anxiety. Because if a father can't get a proper husband for his daughter, he will suffer for the rest of his life. And not like me, this Brahmin had a wife whose tongue was like a razor blade, always cutting him. What kind of Brahmin are you? Get some dhan, get some charity, arrange the wedding of your daughter. One day she said, look, I won't cook, I won't clean, I'm not even going to let you in the house. Out, 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 out. You get some dhan, you arrange the wedding of your daughter, or you don't come home. So he thought what to do. Then he thought, well, Krishna, he's Deena Bandhu. He's friend of the poor. He will surely help me. He must be there in Gibran. So that Brahmana went to Gibran, and sure enough, there was Radha and Krishna and all the Sakhis. And he explained everything to Krishna, and Krishna said, Are bhai, now what am I supposed to do? All my money is with Nanda Baba and Nandagam. I'm just a coward boy with all my girlfriends here in the forest. What am I supposed to do? And Brahman began to cry. Now Krishna doesn't like to see the Brahmins unhappy. Namo Brahmani Devaya Go Brahmana Itayacha. Krishna likes to see Brahmins and cows very happy. He said, all right, I don't have any money, but I have one Priya. Priya means dear. And in British English, dear means something very, very costly. Just like in America, when the petrol price reaches $4 a gallon, they freak out. But in England, I saw, of course they sell it by liters, but if you even it out by dollar, it comes out to $7.50, $8 a gallon. Oh, it is so dear. So Krishna made sankalp, and he gave Radharani in charity to that Brahmin. Then that Brahmin really began to cry. First of all, I have one daughter. I can't even get her married. Now you give me a second daughter. Now my wife is going to kill me. And Radharani said, you know, Shyam Sundar, I can't live for one moment without... No, I've given charity to a Brahmin. Now I cannot touch. But Shyam Sundar, I cannot live one moment without you. Nope, I've given charity to Brahmin. Now I cannot touch. Then Radharani began to cry. And seeing Radharani crying, all the Sakhis began to cry. Now everybody's crying. So Krishna thought, all right, you bring a scale. Not like in your bathroom at home, but when you go to buy your fruit across the street. Great big scale. And he put Radharani on one side, and he told all the Sakhis to put their bangles and necklaces and nose pins and earrings, everything on the other side, all gold and silver and pearl and diamond and ruby and emerald. You can see this pastime in the main New Delhi temple, in the Prikrama Marg right behind Gaur-Nitai's altar. There are pictures painted by our Russian artists of this pastime. So in that all weighed just as much as Srimati Radharani. He gave all that gold and silver and pearl and diamond to that Brahmin. That Brahmin became very happy. He ran off to Unchagaon to arrange the wedding of his daughter. Haribo, Haribo. Radharani became very happy. Seeing Radharani happy, all the Sakhis became very happy. Shri Sri Radha Krishna ki jai. So, there we have, inside the temple, we have beautiful deities of Radha, Dhan Bihari. Very charming metallic deities. Krishna is some sort of dark metal and Radharani's brass. Always decorated with nice sandalwood and kesher, what does we call? Saffron. Saffron drawings all around their eyes. on their face. In fact, there's one lady, she always comes, she's from Mauritius, but she lives in Toronto. And whenever she comes in Prickama, she always brings a little container of saffron for the temple. Because we shouldn't come just like tourists. We should come in and move of service. So for the service of the deity, she brings us saffron. Beautiful deities of Radha, Dan Bihari. And we used to just stand here in the sun, but one devotee from Delhi, Ved Vyasdas, he created this beautiful shelter there, beautiful big room where we can hear this pastime in the shade. And although he doesn't allow pictures to almost no one, but to ISKCON devotees, he always allows us to take pictures. Then we come outside and there's two big columns with a pole in between. This is called Jula, or we call it in Hindi, Hindol. So just this season, rainy season, the end of this month of Shravan, especially they do the Julan Yatra. Radha Dan Bihari come out of their temple and come there and do Julan Yatra. One time Tamal Krishna and his disciples came there and they saw this beautiful Jula going on. Immediately Tamal told his disciple, you make some outfit. I'll get some outfit made for these deities. And across the way we see that other hill, that was called Bilaskar. And on top there we see also big Hindu, Jula. Because this month of Shravan, it is customary in India that the girls go home to visit their father and mother. So Radharani is staying in Barsana. Sometimes mostly she stays at Javat, but sometimes she stays in Barsana. Barsana is farther away and not so easy for Krishna to come. So she's a little sad. So the Sakhis, they're swinging her on a swing. And they look down in the valley, they see this beautiful blackish gopi walking through the valley with her sari pulled over her head and very sweetly walking. And nobody's seen this. And Radharani said, bring her here. So they bring that Sakhi there. And Radharani says, oh sister, why are you standing there? Come sit here with me. So they put her on the swing with Radharani. By now you've figured out who our Sham Sakhi is. Is none other than Sri Nandanandan himself. Now he's got his desire. He's sitting next to Radharani. His heart is going bing, 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 bing. He faints. Then Landita Vishaka says, oh, what happened? What happened? Now ordinarily if you touch here, you feel something soft. But they felt something hard. And they reached under the sari and they pulled out Krishna's flute. Then they sprinkled some water, woke him up, and then they did the Julan Yatra. That was the Ekadasi day, all the way up to the Balaram Purnima, the Julan Yatra of Radha Govinda. After leaving there, we go through this big tall wall and a little tiny doorway. We come through that doorway, there's a large temple. And we come around to the entrance, these big wooden doors are there. And we come inside and we see beautiful, even outside, beautiful Rajasthani architecture, all beautiful carved stone. And a huge temple with rooms all around, very special place. This is called Jaipur Mandir. Because one time, in the old days, Radharani's temple was very small. The main temple. If you know where to look, you can still see the old temple. Then another small temple was made where the kitchen is now. But it was very small. So Sawai Madhu Singh, he purchased this hilltop and he had this beautiful palace built for Radha and Krishna. With rooms all around, so he could sit with all his ministers in front of the real king and make all their decisions. But when they tried to move Radharani from that other hill, she refused to move. Oh, these Jaipur people are very clever. Govinda, Gopinath, Radha Binod, Madan Mohan, they all went off to Jaipur. So the king installed his own deity, Radha Kushal Bihari. Kushal means that happiness you feel in the heart. So this is Radha, Happy Bihari. And very difficult to take pictures there. Sometimes we manage to sneak one. We have beautiful deities of Radha Kushal Bihari are there. And then on the left altar, we have Radha Hans Gopal. Because this king, he was from Nimbarka Sampradaya, so they traced their lineage from the Hans incarnation of the Lord. And so Hans Gopal is there. And then Nard Muni is there. He gets around, he's in all the Sampradayas. And you see 4 little faces, that's the 4 Kumaras. Then on the front, darkish figure, that's Nimbarkacharya himself. And on his left, his most famous disciple, Srinivas. And then on the right side, right altar, there's 3 altars, is Nritya Gopal. Little tiny deity, Nritya. Nritya means dancing. And you see, all covered up with cloth, but there's a little rath there. Rath Yatra, they take Nritya Gopal out to the courtyard and they walk all around. And then you see most beautiful architecture. All carved stone lattice work, so finely carved, it's all stone. In the back, there's a window with the sun because this king came in the Surya Vamsa. So sun goddess face is there in the back window. Very beautiful. And then we come back out and all around the courtyard, beautiful paintings are there. We'll see Gajendra Moksh. Somewhere we'll see Barsana Hill. Somewhere we'll see Radha and Krishna. Somewhere we see Nandagaon. Somewhere we see Barsana. Then we go around through the back Prikamahal and come on the other side, and there's Krishna and Balaram killing Kams and his brothers. And then there's wonderful picture of Krishna doing a Holi Lila with the gopis. And then there's Govardhan Lila. Then there's Damodar Lila, part 1, part 2. In one painting, you see Damodar stealing the butter, then next he's pulling down the trees. And then there's Jamastami Lila, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Part 1, he's appearing in the prison house of Kamsa in front of Vasudeva and Devaki. Then Vasudev carries Vasudev across the river. And then you see Nanda and Yasoda, he exchanges with the girl child. Then he comes back and you see Kamsa trying to kill that girl child. Part 1, 2 and 3 and 4. And then there's Julan Yatra. This is the most cutest Radha and Krishna you can see. These paintings we can freely take pictures of. Then we come outside and continue on, and there's a beautiful garden. One of the few things that the government actually maintains, beautiful garden. And it's so wonderful, so many different flowers are there, especially bougainvilleas. In Holi season, you see Krishna playing Holi. There's sprays of reddish and purplish and white bougainvilleas like that. We come there around Diwali time, and new shoots of the bougainvillea are coming on. The shoots look just like rocket trails, twisting up to the sky, and then bursting. At the end, there's a burst of flowers, like a firecracker, like that. Krishna's playing Diwali. Then we come to the main Sriji temple. Now there's a very large temple there. And even before my very eyes, I saw the courtyard double. One devotee named Janaki Das from Vrindavan, he collected donations. He built a big hall, and then on top of the hall, they made another courtyard. There's a double courtyard there. This is called Sriji Mandir. And there you have to be very careful about taking pictures. Of course, nowadays with all these cell phones, it's hard for them to stop, but they're very alert. Still, sometimes we get one. It's so beautiful, paintings on the ceiling. One painting is there of the famous Latmar Holi of Barsana. Latmar Holi means that in the lat refers to lati, stick. Because on the Nomi, we celebrate on the Purnima, but on the Nomi, before Holi Purnima, they perform Holi in Barsana. And all the Nandagam Brahmins come in the afternoon with big turbans, all piled up around. They have these shields with colored tinfoil, very beautiful designs. They come charging up in the temple, and these guys are squirting them like anything. There's a special flower in Braj called keshu, little orangish reddish flower. And now it's just as after Holi season it blooms, then they dry them and keep them for the next year. And they soak them in a big pot. And beautiful yellow, natural color comes, and wonderful fragrance. Then they have pitchkaris, which Prabhupada translates as syringe-like instrument, great big brass pitchkaris. And they're squirting them all. And the whole temple floor becomes ocean of the Red Sea. And they all sit down with the Barsana Brahmins and they sing back and forth and back and forth. And then the Brahmins from Nandagam go down to the bottom of the stairs to we call Rangili Gali, colorful alleyway. And there they insult the ladies from Barsana. Which ones? Those Brahmanis who have been married. Those who were born there, they can't play. But those who were married in Barsana. And they come with their big cowards, their big sticks, lat, and they just smash those men. That's why they have this big shield and so many things inside their turban. And there's 3 or 4 girls and one guy, pa-da-da-da-da-da, most amazing scene. And then there's another painting near that one. You see dark colored Saki bowing before Radharani with a basket of flowers. What happened was Radharani was a little angry with Krishna. So she was staying separate from him. But actually deep within her heart she wants to be with Krishna. But externally she's showing anger. And Krishna was there at Prem Sarovar and he called Lalita Visakha. He said, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't drink. I'm going to give up my life unless I get the association of Radharani. They said, it's very difficult, we'll try it. And they went back and Radharani said, this fellow is not only black on the inside, he's black through and through. He has cheated me so many times, I don't have anything to do with this black fellow. So Lalita and Visakha, they went back and told Krishna it's very difficult. Krishna gave them some plan. And they were sitting there with Radharani. And suddenly this very dark flower girl appeared with a basket of flowers and some garlands. And she was singing a song, who will take my garlands? Just by the touch of my garlands, all cares will go away. And all troubles will go away. Lalita Visakha, they told Radharani, did you hear that flower girl? And Radharani looked and she said, nobody in the whole universe can make a flower garland that beautiful except for one person. Says, you call her here. She came And she took that garland and she put it on Radharani's neck, but in such a way she can touch Radharani's neck. And Radharani thought, nobody in the whole universe has a touch like that. Then Radharani said, oh, your garland's away. After all, you're not dressed very properly. We should take off all your old clothes and give you new clothes. And the Saki began to back out. No, what are you afraid of? We're all women here. Women are afraid to undress in front of other women. No, they began to unwind the sari. They grab the choli and he's fighting and fighting. And finally they open up the choli, and all these flowers fall down. And all the Sakis begin to laugh. It's Krishna. And they all began to clap and jump. Oh, Radharani has made such a fool of this guy. So this painting is there. And the main deities here in Sriji Mandir are Ladli Lal. Ladli Lal. Lali means little girl, and Lal means little boy. Very beautiful deities. And if you come here for Radhastami, huge festival is here. You finally understand how to celebrate Radhastami, because you have to come the night before. As somewhere it becomes so crowded, the police lock the door and around midnight, nobody can come in. Even the pujaris. They send all the Abhishek paraphernalia up by basket and rope. And everyone is dancing and singing. They have beautiful flower bungalow, flower palace. And they have artik. Then after artik, everyone goes wild, just singing and dancing their heart out. You see how to celebrate Radhastami, dancing their hearts out. In the main old courtyard, there's 4 kirtan parties going on. One in each corner, one in the middle. Sometimes one becomes more prominent, everyone gravitates to that one. Another one becomes prominent, everyone gravitates to that one. The middle one becomes prominent, like that. On the back new courtyard, you'll see these beautiful Rajasthani dresses, beautiful jewelry, silk embroidered jewelry, and great big long swirling skirts. And the Sakis are dancing and spinning around, and the skirt is going like this. And you look and you say, wait a minute. Are those girls? Are they guys? And they swirl around and the skirts go like this. And then they suddenly stop and the skirt is so heavy it keeps going around and wraps around them. Then they go, like that, unwraps the other way. They begin to whirl the other way, like this. So this is going on all night. Then they have the main, this is all in the main courtyard because the darshan mandap is closed off with a big curtain. Then around 2 o'clock, all the Brahmins from Barsana come and they sit down in rows facing to each other, and they have these Hindi songbooks with great big Hindi letters, and they sing old ancient traditional Radhastami songs. And they're singing very joyfully. One time, I went there the night before, but we came a little late, so we were stuck on the edge, up against the wall. But suddenly, about 4 o'clock in the morning, the curtains begin to rustle. Everyone gets restless. Then suddenly they fling open the curtain and Radharani's outside. And everybody jumps up. We were on the outside and we were pushed by the crowd right into the middle. And then we went 10 feet this way, 12 feet this way. Our feet were never touching the ground. I'm used to it, but our friend who came with us, Sainan from Singapore, he was like 65 years old. I thought it was old now, those days. So he was freaking out. Then he saw me smiling, So he also began to enjoy. We were just going, whole Abhishek. They kept us right in front of the deities, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, after Abhishek is over, they open the door and everyone files through. So if you want to see, you have to go the night before. So this is a very lovely place. Then you come down the stairs, and there's a little white chhatri. Chhatri means dome-like structure, white marble. And in Barsana, they start Julan from the Tej, from the third day, Haryali Tej, and go up to the Purnima. And on the Tej day, they bring Radha and Krishna down to that little white marble chhatri on that platform. And they handing out Malpua Prasad to everyone. And it's such a beautiful scene, because Julan is happening during the rainy season. So you see this white marble, and behind is black clouds with lightning flashing, and then half the sky is still blue where there's no clouds. And it's so incredible. And cool breezes are blowing. That's the bliss of Julan Yatra, is the cool breezes of the rainy season. Like that. And then we come along and we come to a little temple of Brahma. Now, I've been told that there's no temples of Lord Brahma. But I saw a series of articles. It got up to about 130. About 130 temples of Brahma are there. And this is one because this is Brahma Parvat. So we see Lord Brahma with his foreheads looking in all directions. Then we go down these long steps. And recently somebody covered that stairway. We used to go in the hot sun. If somebody covered the steps, and we go down the steps. And at the first landing, there's a little temple, you'll probably miss it. But you go inside, this is Dadi Dada Mandir. Dadi means maternal grandmother, and Dada means maternal grandfather. This is the mother and father of Vrisabhanu, Sukada and Mahipal. So you see them sitting there, Dadi Dada Mandir. Then we come down, there's little temples all along the sides of this path going down. At one landing, there's a little Daoji temple. Then we finally come to the bottom. And we turn right. And just a little ways, we see this big entranceway. We go through that entranceway. And there's a large temple there, Astasaki. Astasaki Mandir. I know about 3 Astasaki Mandirs. One is in Radhakund, one is in Vrindavan near Madan Mohan, and one is here. A little bit neglected place, but you come inside, very beautiful deities, Radha and Krishna, and Astasakis. Lalita Visakha, Chitra Champaka, Indulekha, Tungavidya, Rangadevi, Sudevi. You leave a nice donation for the poor pujari there. Then we come back out, and on the other side, a little ahead, there's another doorway. You go through that doorway, and we come to Vrisabhanu Mandir. I've been told by all the old saints, this is where Vrisabhanu had his palace. The top of the hill is very nice for temples, but for building a palace, sometimes it's not so practical. So we come inside, very beautiful deities, Vrisabhanu, all painted, they're wood, but painted gold, very bright. Vrisabhanu, Kirtita, Sridham. Sridham is Radharani's older brother. Then on the left side, we see a little altar of Radha and Krishna. And here, on top, we call Chandrakala, this little domes that you see on the corners of some large buildings like that. This is called Chandrakala. So Radharani used to sit there, looking toward Nandagam, thinking about Krishna. And in Nandagam, Krishna used to sit in his Chandrashala on the roof and look toward Barsana, thinking about Srimati Radharani. So after we come out of Vrisabhanu Mandir, if we go to the left, we come back out to the canal, and we cross in the canal, we come to Pili, Pokhar. One time, Mother Yasoda smeared Radharani's hands with turmeric. This means that the girl is engaged. And Radharani saw this, she became frightened. And she ran out of Mother Yasoda's house, and she ran all the way back to Barsana, and she was embarrassed. So she went to this kund, and she began to wash her hands, wash her hands. And all the water began to turn yellow. Pili means yellow. And this extraordinary substance poured out of her hands. And waves would go across the other side, bounce against the stairs, and come back. And she was just washing and washing. And all this golden luster was coming. And Lalita said, "Hey, Radhe, you've washed enough. You're going to turn the whole of Braj yellow. Stop it." So this became known as Pili Pokhar. One time Krishna was herding his cows, and he came upon this place, and he started to walk by. Then all of a sudden he looked, wait a minute. Why is this kund yellow? I never saw this yellow kund before. So he went down, and it was exuding a wonderful fragrance. And he touched the water. As soon as he touched the water, electric charge, like nothing he'd ever felt, it went through his body. So ecstatic. What is this yellow substance? He began to investigate. So he took one step down. He took another step down. He took another step down. So finally only his peacock feather was above the water, tracing out his path as he was wondering, what is this extraordinary golden substance? As Radharani had washed her bhav into this kund. So then he came out of this golden liquid, and he found that his whole body was changed in golden complexion. And he looked at all the animals. They were all watching in ecstasy, this whole scene, but none of them moved or spoke. And he began to feel separation from Krishna. He's Krishna himself, feeling separation from Krishna. And he began to call, "Oh Krishna, Prananath, where are you?" He raised his hands in the air. "Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare." This is the first appearance of Gaura, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And like all potions, gradually that potion began to wear off. Then suddenly his black color returned, and he looked around, and he remembered his cows, and he went off herding his cows. So we thank you. This is we've seen almost everything in Barsana. We hope you relish this prikrama. Hope to join you again sometime, or hope you come to Vrindavan and join us. Hare Krishna.